We adore you, O Christ, and we bless you, for by your love you have redeemed the world. Amen. Jesus gives thanks. Jesus gives love. Jesus gives a new commandment. Jesus does all of this with his gathered community in a particular place at a designated time for a new purpose that continues to this very day. The church begins again with the seeds planted by Jesus in community, a simple wash basin and pitcher, towels, blessed broken bread and outpoured wine, and the answer to every question under the sun: love. Love one another. What's the question? The answer will be the same: love one another. All of these are acts of kindness in the face of what threatens to undo. God's love cannot be undone, however. These are acts that are ultimately brave. These are acts that work subversively in the face of all that is not love, all that is not true, all that is other than God would prefer. Because of Christ, we can stand with him for the sake of God's lavish love. God's lavish love is, whether acknowledged or not, accepted or not, lived or not, the great mystery that once touches us will never let us go. For wherever love is true, God is. For wherever love is true, God is there. When we live the truth of love, we see for ourselves God is here. God is here inviting us, through Christ, to join his body, about to be beaten, scourged, and scorned by all that is not love, to go through all of this to the point that takes us beyond death. Jesus offers us a service normally reserved for one's house servant or spouse. He brings the intimacy of ritual bathing with meaning, exposing the reality of this physical and spiritual existence. Bathing, even where feet are concerned, is a messy, stinky business. No wonder Peter protests. This scene should unsettle us. It should unsettle us so much that we return to this night over and over and over again for that very thing, because we need to be unsettled. We need to notice all the things that challenge us that are not loving, humble service. The invitation is always before us to change and live a life cleansed of all that is not love, live a life in full communion with the sea of humanity that receives broken bread and poured wine as Christ's spiritual presence in and through all of us with no exceptions. John, from the first word to the last, is clear that Jesus' message is for all. Because it is for all, Jesus overturns every hierarchy of value and status. Jesus shows us that the Messiah is a servant king. Here we learn about God's idea of authority and leadership for us. What a lesson that should be, to unsettle us, to remind us that what Jesus turns upside down is actually turned upside right for the very first time. What kind of God would this be if we were abandoned to sit alone with our challenges, our problems? No, this is not God's way. The invitation inward is here for us to respond to Yes, it is God that is here with us that gets us through. Now that we've brushed up on God's fierce love, the change we long for in the world has already begun. We see this. The longing itself is a gift from God, and the response to that longing within us for God is God's way of reflecting back and forth, God's love. We learn this when we follow the way of Christ through the challenging side of life, the one who takes on our challenges. There is no room in this story for what Christ had to do. We hear this said too many times, but what gift is there in that if Christ had to? Where's the grace in had to? Where's the chesed, the Hebrew word for mercy that Jesus knew so well? Mercy is the grace, the gift extended through this faithful Jewish teacher, faithful to his religion to the end. He shows himself to be God's sent one. Christ and his continuing spirit among us is never rooted in had-tos. There is no love in having to, but in getting to. It is getting this gift that Christ gets to give through the grace of God, the Creator. It is this gift that stands face to face with us when we feel like we're not worthy. That is anything but God's grace. It is this gift that says, you are worthy more than you know, to be forgiven beyond compare. Remember that for all the world is how John begins this gospel story. For all the world is John's context to this day, because the saving work of God through Christ continues. It continues through us who come faithfully. Do you notice the clarity of this message? It's so simple. I worry that such simplicity has become cliche. It's hard to accept simplicity. No, it has to be hard. It has to be something we have to do. But it's not. Even on the days where this feels impossible, we're reminded that in all things we've been given a gift to receive, to live out and extend to all others. God doesn't ask for what is impossible, but the possible that is rooted in God's reality that is now here. Mercy, grace, and love. You remember, I am sure, that the word Maundy comes from the Middle English monde, from Old French mende, from Latin mandatum. Maundy refers to the words spoken by Jesus to his disciples after washing their feet at the Last Supper in the Gospel of John. A new commandment, mandate. Didn't have to, wanted to. I give unto you a gift that you love one another. Will we go on emboldened to live this gift of love that is for all of life, for all who live? Love one another, Jesus says, as I love you and give myself for you. Give. May we all live this life in God's love as both sacrifice and praise, that is, gift. How wonderful that we get to participate personally in the beauty of this greatest story of love that is so refined. It is as refined as Christ's body, alive in the world here and now. Yes, Jesus gives thanks. Jesus gives love. We are asked to do no less. For wherever love is true, God is. For wherever love is true, God is there. When we live the truth of God, love is here. God is here. We adore you, O Christ, and we bless you. For by your love you have redeemed the world. Amen.